Colbyjack.net is proud to present From the Flames by Trisha M. Wilson. The people of the fire, the Blesa, led by their queens, have ruled the island of Alfeyju and oppressed the Driva, the people of the ice, for more than 16 generations. With the Drivian King in hiding and little hope on the horizon, the Driva looked to one person to save them from the vile Blesa, the Diviana. According to legend, the divinely gifted Diviana will one day overthrow the Blesa and restore the Drivian King to his rightful throne. But with the search having lasted for more than 400 years, will the Diviana ever come to light? Willow is the slave of the Raskpil family. Bought at the age of 4, 20 years have passed since her life irrevocably changed. Her existence is no worse than any other slave, but within, Willow wonders if there isn't something more she should be doing with her life other than serving the ungrateful. Ordered to travel with her master's family to Sondertoft, so her master's adult children can take part in an ancient rite of passage, Willow is shocked when she learns that she too must participate. Will she fail, as all before her have? Will she rise to the challenge and become stronger after passing through the flames? Episode 38. As they left the room, Willow tried to come up with a plan to get them all out of this safely, but her mind refused to work. The second the door slammed closed behind the three men, leaving Willow and Hawk alone in their cells, Hawk moved close to Willow. "What'd they want?" "They wanted to know where the sacred objects are and what they can do. They also have Val, and wanted me to admit to having powers," Willow whispered. "So they know who you are?" he asked, looking concerned. "Yes, but I played dumb, acted like I had no idea what they were talking about. But I don't think Elvis bought it. How are we going to get out of here?" "Can't you use your magic?" Hawk asked, echoing Sigurd's earlier question. "I told you already. I've never done any magic without Val. I don't know if I can," she said harshly. The burden of their escape weighed heavily on her shoulders. Suddenly a cry of pain filled the air, followed by Sigurd's indiscernible yells. "What are they doing to him?" Hawk asked, shaking a little. "Beating him to get me to cooperate," Willow said, trying to ignore Sigurd's cries. "We've got to get out of here," Hawk said yet again. "Don't you think I know that?" Willow squeaked. "Yes, but you're the one who can actually get us out of the situation." "How?" she asked, exasperated. "Use your magic. Make a key," Hawk said, as if the answer was obvious. "A key?" "Yes, a key. If you can make icicles and spears, a key to fit the lock should be no problem." "But at least try," Hawk begged. "If you can't, then we'll come up with another solution. But if you never try, we'll never know. Why are you so unwilling to try?" Another piercing cry came from the other room, making up Willow's mind for her. "I'll try. But you better be thinking of another plan if this one doesn't work." Going to the cell lock and door, Willow looked around to make sure nobody was watching their movements. Seeing nobody, Willow put her hands on the lock and concentrated on what she needed. A key. Feeling the familiar flow of energy move through her body and into her fingertips, she kept her mind focused on the key that she needed to make. Willow didn't open her eyes until she heard Hawk say, "You did it." Opening her eyes, she saw a perfectly formed ice key hovering above the lock. Grabbing the key, she shoved it into the lock and turned it. Hearing the click of the lock opening, she said a quick prayer of thanks for Hawk's unwavering determination that she try and opened the cell door as quietly as possible. Once out, she opened the other cell, releasing Hawk. Now free, they hurried toward the screams and cries of pain, trying to stick to the shadows as much as possible. "How are we going to get him out of there?" Willow asked. Carefully peeking around a corner of a connecting hall, Willow saw that it dead-ended at a door that had a man standing guard. Hawk glanced down the hall and said, "We'll have to make some kind of distraction. He's got to be in the room at the end of the hall." "There's only one guard, but we know there's at least 2 other people inside the room with Sigurd. At least that's the impression I got from Alvis." Thinking quickly, she said, "Alvis told me to yell when I was willing to cooperate. So here's what we're going to do. I'll yell, and hopefully he'll send the guard at the door to get me. When he does come, we'll knock him out, and you'll take his place, bringing me to the room." "And then what? We fight our way out? And what about Val? He could be anywhere." "I can sense him somewhat, and I'm pretty sure he's in the room with Sigurd. If I'm able to get my hands on him, the 2 men won't be much of a problem. No more being Miss Nice. I aim to kill." "Are you sure you can? Have you ever killed anyone before?" Hawk asked in a worried voice. "No, but I will if I have to. Let's get going." More cries of pain echoed down the hall. Breathing deeply, Willow cried out in her most pitiful voice, "Stop! Please! I'll do anything you want! Just stop hurting him!" Cruel laughter came from the room. Willow then heard a man's voice call to the guard. Looking back at Hawk, she saw him holding a piece of wood. "Why didn't I think of that?" Willow thought as she moved out of his way, even as they heard heavy footsteps coming toward them. The second the man turned the corner, Hawk hit him in the face. Crying out in pain, he brought his hand to cover his face, giving Hawk access to his body. Hawk hit the man in the stomach, making the man double over in pain. The last blow to the back of the head rendered him unconscious. Each grabbing an arm, Willow and Hawk dragged the man out of sight and shoved him out of the way. Before leaving him, however, Hawk took his black cloak and swung it over his own shoulders, while Willow bound the man's hands tightly behind his back with some rope Hawk had found. Hawk grabbed her arm, as the guards had, as they walked down the hall. In a quiet voice, he asked, "Ready?" "Yes." Putting an anguished expression on her face, she allowed Hawk to pull her down the hall and push her through the door. Barely glancing at the man who'd brought Willow to the room, Alvis said, "Are you ready to cooperate, girl?" "Yes," she whispered, looking down at her feet. A few tears fell down her face to add believability to the situation. "What's that? Speak up. I can't hear your answer when you mumble," Alvis said, sounding pleased with himself. "But before you repeat yourself, come here and look at what you've done to your friend." Following his orders, she walked more into the room. As she walked toward Sigurd, who was sitting forward with his head down, she saw Val leaning against the wall. Val was within arm's reach of Alvis. Once in front of Sigurd, she looked at him and had to stifle a gasp at what she saw. His face, which he had lifted to look at her, was swollen on one side from continuous punches. His shirt was ripped and torn, and one of his arms was wrapped around his body as if trying to protect his ribs. "You okay?" Willow whispered. "Of course, my love," Sigurd said with a cocky, if strained, grin. "Enough," Alvis ordered. "Tell me what I want to know, or I'll have my new friend rough up your boyfriend even more." "What do you want to know?" Willow asked, turning to Alvis, but keeping Val in sight. "Where are the sacred—" "Valdis!" Willow commanded, holding out her hand. Faster than a blink, Val shot across the room and into Willow's hand. Creating icicles, in a second, she sent them flying at the 3 men in the room. Stepping out of Alvis's reach, she said, "We're leaving, and you won't stop us, or else I'll kill you. Do you understand?" "You just made yourself a bigger enemy than before, little girl," Alvis hissed, trying unsuccessfully to get out of the icicle's path. "You just wait until I get my hands on you." "That won't be happening," Willow said, grabbing Sigurd's arm to pull him to his feet. Hawk, still standing guard by the door, said, "Come on, we've got to move." They rushed out of the room, with Hawk in the lead and Willow in the rear. Willow had just entered the hall when she heard a howl of pain coming from the room behind her. Turning to see the cause of such a horrendous sound, she saw the man who had been beating on Sigurd holding his neck as blood gushed from a wound. Willow turned away from the grisly sight and hurried after the others. It wasn't until they had turned the corner of the hall that she realized there had been a bloody icicle dagger on the ground. Willow had to block the implications of that bloody dagger from her mind, so engrossed in her own thoughts. Willow nearly ran into Sigurd and Hawk when they suddenly stopped. "What's wrong?" Willow asked. "There's 3 men in our way. We've got to find another way out," Hawk breathed as he peeked around the corner again. "The window," Willow said. "There's a room with a window big enough for us to fit through." Spinning around, she opened the first door she came to and went straight to the window. Feeling around the edges for some way to open it, she couldn't find a latch of any kind. Still running her hands over the glass, she asked Hawk, "Do you still have that piece of wood?" "Yeah, here," Hawk said, giving it to her. "Block the door as best you can. I'm going to have to break the window." Putting Val aside, she swung the piece of wood back and hit the window with a thud. When it didn't shatter or even crack, she swung again, and then again. On her 5th swing, the window cracked. With a few more hits, the glass finally shattered into 1,000 pieces. Knocking out the jagged edges as best she could, she said, "Give me that cloak." Putting the stolen cloak over the bottom of the window, she turned to Sigurd and said, "You go first." "But no arguing. Go first." Standing on a chair, Sigurd swung his body out of the window and jumped to the ground. Landing with a thud, he said, "Come on!" Handing him Val, Willow went next, trying to ignore the pounding and slamming sounds coming from the door. Once Willow was safely on the ground, she turned back to the window. She saw Hawk swing 1 foot over the windowsill before the door crashed open. "Hurry!" Willow cried, pulling on the leg that was outside to hurry him up. Just as his second leg cleared the windowsill, an arm went around Hawk's neck, trying to pull him back inside. You have been listening to From the Flames by Trisha M. Wilson. Read, recorded, mastered, encoded, and produced by Colbyjack.net. This work is released under a Creative Commons 3.0 Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike license. Do what you want with it, just don't try to profit from it. Heaven knows we can't. If you have any questions, comments, or rants you wish to share with us, we can be reached at Colbyjack at Colbyjack.net. That's COLBYTRAX @COLBYJACK.net. Yep, I sing it too. If you want to follow the exploits of Trisha in Twitterland, just search for Lady Trisha W on Twitter, or follow the ever-dashing, courageous, hardworking, intelligent, and immensely humble Colbyjack on the Twitters as well. If you find that you can't just wait to find out what will happen with Willow, the strong dude and the annoying dude, be heartened to know that From the Flames is available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Smashwords, as well as from our little shop. Didn't you know about our little shop? Why, yes, we have a little shop located at shop. That's shop.colbyjack.net. That's shop.colbyjack.net. Yeah, real original there. There you will find the latest ebook versions of all our works in both Mobi and ebook, all DRM-free, as well as audiobook versions of such works as Firmware Hijacked and Proxy, as well, naturally, as well as From the Flames. The audiobooks differ from the podcasts in that the headers and bumpers only run once, and the episodes are grouped into hour-long episodes for easy burning to CD or for downloading on the go. If you find you don't need any stuff, but just want to thank us monetarily for our efforts here, just head on over to Colbyjack.net, select either audio or visual, and look for the donate button located on the blog roll. Well, anyway, thank you for listening, have a wonderful week, and remember to be fabulous.